We will quickly move on to the next session, which is a special section on water neutrality, pathways to water resilience and security, presented by CIA Triveni Water Institute. Mr. Bharath Ramachandran, engineer from CIA Triveni Water Institute. Thank you, Mr. Bharath. Over to you.
Yeah. Good afternoon to everyone present here. I know it's like the session before lunch and we're already delayed by some time. So I'll try to keep the session brief and to give some context. Yeah, to give some context, like I'm representing CII Triveni Water Institute. CII Triveni Water Institute is one of the center of excellence of CII, which was established. We have totally 10 centers of excellence. We work on making industries, not just on industries, we work to make India water secure and work towards water security. So today I'll be presenting on the achieving water neutrality. So from the sessions in the morning, all of us were hearing on like water neutrality, and we are giving back more to the ecosystem. We have recharged more, or like we are saving water, and water is a risk. So how do we know? Like how do we know how much we are giving back, or how do we know that we are water positive or we are water neutral? To understand what is the water status, so we have a service called Water Neutrality Service, in which we will be assessing the industries to make them know and understand where they are, where they currently stand. So I'll be presenting on it briefly. So to just till the time the presentation loads, all of us would have heard of like water is the elixir of life, and these are the quotes. So as it was said by our esteemed panelists before these sessions, I would like to add like one more quote which says that water is also the economic lifeline. Water is also a lifeline for economy. Since all of the industries, we require water, and all of us require water, and it was, I think, beautifully highlighted by the other panelists, like how water is a risk. Water risk, how it poses a risk to GDP and economy and industries. So to further mitigate the risk and to be future ready in terms of water, we have water neutrality pathways. So the agenda will be brief. It will mostly talk about why water is important for sustainability, and what are the other regulations which are also mandating for disclosure of water-related data for industries, and also on how the CAI Water Institute, a brief about what we do, and then we will talk about the Niti Aayog framework for water neutrality, then what is water neutrality and how it can be achieved. So I think the context has already been set by the previous sessions, so I'll just skip this and then we will go towards the brief or main agenda of the session. So Government of India has come up with different disclosures like liquid waste management rules and then SEBI's BRSR frameworks. All these are now incorporating water as part of the data. Previously, like since energy and carbon net zero was the buzzword, now water has been the buzzword for all the ESG regulatory frameworks. So this water neutrality certification will help the industries to achieve and better know their status, and this will help them in the certifications also and enhance their brand for sustainability. So industries, as you know, has always been on the sustainability curve. They're from CSR to ESG right now to BRSR, so to stewardship, water stewardship. So water neutrality helps the industry to move from a proactive to a reactive to a proactive approach. So instead of waiting for signals from the government, and also instead of being reactive to the issue of water scarcity, water neutrality enables and helps industries to be proactive in addressing the issue and also ensure that the business sustainability and continuity of business does not get affected due to water scarcity or water risk. So a brief, CII Water Institute is headquartered in Delhi. So we sit in Delhi, and I represent the institute, and I'm placed in Chennai. So we have an array of services. So totally we have 6 services. water audit, water pinch, and water neutrality service, and also blue rating system. Similar to the energy rating system of appliances, we have developed a system of blue rating in which we assess and rate industries and give rating to them on how sustainable they are on their water usage and water management comprehensively. So what the key questions? How do we define what is water neutrality, and how much should I offset? How much should I give back to the ecosystem for water neutrality, and in which area should I give? Is it possible that I have an industry, my industry is say located in Chennai, but I have implemented the CSR activity in Karnataka or Andhra? Will I be qualified or eligible for water neutrality? All these questions and doubts will address, and there were also on what are the measures that needs to be undertaken. So there were many doubts, and industries are also calculating their water neutrality status on their own by using the CSR activities. There was not a standard approach. To have a standard framework and an approach, CII Water Institute was knowledge and technical partner along with Niti Aayog. We came up with the guidelines on framework for water neutrality for Indian industries. So this framework talks about how water neutrality can be achieved and what is the definition, to give a standardized definition for water neutrality, how it can be used to assess the status. Our document can be accessed in the Niti Aayog website and also in the Triveni Water Institute website. So CII Triveni Water Institute was the knowledge and technical partner for this document. So based on this, we assess industries and then we certify them whether they are water neutral or positive according to Niti Aayog guidelines. So coming to the basic question of what is water neutrality. So water neutrality talks about the total freshwater consumption that is required for the process in the industries. It includes the direct water usage that is part of the water balance of the industries which all of you are familiar with, and also on the embedded or virtual water, which was discussed by the Bisleri team. They were telling about how they calculated the embedded water also for water credits, and they came to know it is not just the water that they're using for manufacturing. It is also the embedded water which takes into account for the product. So the total freshwater consumption as on date when the assessment is done, it should be equal to or the quantity should be equal to or more than the, not more, I think it's less than the, the water savings that has been achieved. So through CSR activities, industries have been implementing projects on lake rejuvenation or channel rejuvenation, and also on rainwater harvesting, groundwater recharge. So all these would be quantified, and the balance would be established to check whether the total water usage is less than the interventions. If it is less, then we are water positive. If it is equal, it is neutral. This is done both in the watershed in which the plant is located and also in the supply chain, the watershed of the supply chain. To better understand it, this is the governing equation. So when we look at the governing equation, it says that the water management that is done within the plant, within the premises of the industry, the boundary of the industry is called as the fence. So within the fence. So within the industry, it can be rainwater harvesting, or it can be reuse and recycle of treated water and reuse of tertiary treated water. All these installing recharge pits within the industry, so anything which is done within the fence, and also in the community. So in CSR activities, whatever interventions or activities have been carried out outside the premises of the industry, which is called beyond the fence, but within the watershed, that is called the assessment unit. So within the watershed, whatever activities has been done, all these, and also the supply chain, the interventions and water management done in the supply chain, all these must be, the water interventions, the water savings must be more than the total water that is required to run the business. So how it is done? This has majorly two components. One is on operational efficiency, the other is operational sustainability. Operational efficiency part is which most of us are familiar with. It is the water audit process or improving water use efficiency within the plant by using either technologies or best practices or rainwater harvesting or reduce, recycle and reuse. That is the operational efficiency part. The operational sustainability part is what is added in the water neutrality framework, which talks about not just doing the water use or water conservation measures within your industry, also doing it within the watershed in which the plant is located, which I will be explaining like in the further stages of water neutrality certification, how it is being identified. So with this, you will be able to know whether you're negative, positive, or you're neutral. So the key highlight of the framework is it talks about 7 principles. The 7 principles of water neutrality, which are, first one is what everyone of us are aware of, on improving the water use efficiency by reduce, reuse and recycle, which most of the industries are doing, and also government is also supporting by talking about supplying treated wastewater, tertiary wastewater and other areas. The main component of water neutrality here comes on defining the assessment unit. Since when we look at carbon neutrality or net zero, it is not region specific. We can plant trees in anywhere and that absorbs the carbon which is present in the air. The air or the atmosphere spreads the pollutants and carbon, so it is possible to invest in carbon credits anywhere globally. But when it comes to water, water is very region specific. It is local to where we are present. So if we are using water, if we are extracting water in a particular region, say as I said, example, the industry present in Chennai is extracting water for their purposes, for their production process, then the interventions or the water conservation activities need to be taken up by the industry within the same region. Then only the water in that region would be secure, and depletion of water in that particular region can be arrested, and the water sustainability can be ensured so that risk can be mitigated. That is what talks about the next principle, which is neutralizing the impact within the same watershed. In the watershed in which the plant is present, the interventions and activities need to be done in the same watershed so that we will also be able to benefit. The industry also has assurance, or they will be able to mitigate the risk by knowing that they are enhancing the water availability for their future in the same area in where they are located, so that they don't need to worry much in future on where will I source my water from. Next concept talks about source diversification. So depending on the water quality requirement that is needed for the industry, fresh water is what majority of us are using, but when the recycle and reuse is picking up, and most of the industries are enhancing the recycle and reuse percentage, but that is a good approach, but it also talks about diversifying the source. Instead of depending on just one source, say fresh water, we need to diversify the source to other areas, as in rainwater harvesting, and as it had been mentioned by in the session of the CMWSSB chairman, like the supplying the TTRO, treated water, to industries. So not just depending on one particular source, we diversify the source to different areas. This is simply to give an analogy, it is on financial risk. So when we do investing or when we do financial investments, we don't pull all our money into one single fixed deposit or one single mutual fund or a stock. We diversify it to different areas so that even if one area fails, or even if we have a loss in one area, then we will be able to balance it or mitigate it to the other area. This water neutrality principle also talks about the same concept, as in, instead of being dependent on only one particular single source, if we diversify our source to 3 or 4 areas or more than that, then we will be able to mitigate the risk and have a water secure future in which there is an assurance and reliability of water supply which is there for the industry, so that business continuity can go on. The next principle talks about mapping, monitoring and measuring, in which all the water usage and data is mapped, the water quality is also measured, and the monitoring mechanisms are in place to ensure the ecosystem health is also maintained, and the sustainability is also ensured. Then comes the next concept of, then the doubt will occur to all of us. Okay, I have done my assessment, so I am certified as water neutral or water positive. Is it fine? Like, how long is it valid? Or can I use this like, is it a one-time process? No. As we all know, water audit is not a one-time process. So it's to continuous improvement. We do audits continuously so that we can improve continuously to reduce our water use efficiency. Similarly, water neutrality certification has a temporal context. When the assessment is done, the year in which the assessment is done, based on that current usage, we certify the plant or the industry as water neutral or positive. Then that is valid for 3 years. Then further, after 3 years, if they want to be recertified, like they want to know their status again, they need to undertake one more assessment. But since we already did a detailed assessment in the starting phase, then the document will be we will have a documentation, we will know what is the current status. Then based on that, after 3 years, they can do one more small assessment, like a quick assessment to undergo and know what is the status after 3 years. Whether are they still water positive or have they increased their water positivity? Have they increased the water that they've given back to the ecosystem? So then the last principle talks about the elements of credit and debit. So credit and debit in simple terms is credit is the total water usage that we are, debit is the total water usage that we are using. The fresh water that is required and used either in the form of direct water or in the form of virtual water for running the business or running the industry for our process operations. The credits are the interventions that are done. How much of water is given back, how much of water availability is enhanced in the ecosystem. All these are based on the 3M7R approach, the mapping, monitoring, measuring, and reduce, recycle, rejuvenate. All these are present in the water neutrality framework guidelines of NITI Aayog, which is present in the website. Next, there are how to undertake this certification. It is a 3-step process. There are 3 scopes: Scope 1, Scope 2, and Scope 3. When finally the Scope 3 assessment is done, that is when they will be certified. So does it mean that I will be getting my certification only when I reach Scope 3? Or during the process of assessment, will I not have any certification, or will I not have any report, or will I not have any understanding of what I am doing, what is my current process? It's not like that. There are 3 scopes, so it's a 3-step process. I will explain the 3 steps in the further slides. So the first step focuses on operational efficiency gains maximization, that is improving water use efficiency within the plant, that is within the fence. Second talks about the sustainability of the supply chain, operational sustainability. So yes, we have created the baseline. How sustainable is it? Is my supply chain sustainable? Will I be at risk due to my supply chain? Or will I be at risk due to my interventions not falling within the watershed? Or how should I improve my interventions so that I can have the benefit of positivity? The last scope talks about the it's just verifying and validating all the data to have a so that we have a third-party certificate. So all the 3 stages has a certification in them, which is aspiring, raising, and achieved. So when Scope 1 assessment is completed, the industries get an aspiring certification, which will be given to them, awarded to them in the Water Innovation Summit, which happens in November every year. In Delhi, we do Water Innovation Summit, in which water awards are given to industries. In the same way, water neutrality certificates will be provided. So we have aspiring, rising, and achieved. So till now, we have provided, achieved like water positive certification to Infosys Bangalore, and Scope 1 certification have been given to other industries also. Certain other industries, like which we are also projects which are undergoing are on Tata Power, on renewable energy, Renew Power, and also on Hindalco. So at each stage, you get a certification so that you have a validation and a report on what is your current status. So when we look at Scope 1, aspiring certification, what does it include? The Scope 1 includes measuring your direct water consumption. What is the, it is the part of the water audit and water balance, but one difference in this is that this is not an audit, or this is not a compliance view of perspective. It is an assessment. It is, we do hand-holding process to industries to let them know what is their current usage, what are the gaps, how can the gaps be addressed by them. It is not doing an audit from a compliance or a legal perspective and finding faults. No, the water neutrality certification certification is to enable industries to become water secure and mitigate the risk and to provide and enhance the water availability in the region they are present. So it is all based on their own data and also based on your own usage what you are doing. So based on the 7 principles, we measure the water quantity that they are using. So the outcome of the phase 4 scope 1 certification would be how much of water you are using. So neutrality in simple is how much water you are withdrawing, fresh water, how much fresh water we are withdrawing. So the equal amount of fresh water needs to be given back to the ecosystem through water conservation initiatives. And is quantity alone enough? No. We might be extracting water at very good quality water at maybe suppose TDS of 100 or 120. It can be through groundwater or treated water or anything, but fresh water with a good quality is what we are using for our own process. So then if the plant doesn't have a ZLD, but they are reusing it and then they are allowed to discharge based on the consent to operate. The discharge quality of water would also be measured. So the water neutrality is not neutral in terms of only quantity, it is also neutral in terms of quality. So the water quality of discharge of our wastewater would be compared with the ecosystem quality or the quality of the fresh water that they are using. And then we will also give you the quality offset. So how much of quality improvement needs to be done in the wastewater so that the standards are met. So this will help the industry to know what is the current status. And also we will delineate and define the assessment unit where the water industry is present. These establishes the baseline. So the operational efficiency part, I think most of us would be aware of. So I've already explained it in the previous slide. I'll go to the second part, which is the operational sustainability, which is more important and which is part of the guidelines, which is a new concept. It is on delineating the watershed. Here, as you can see, the orange dot represents the location of the industry. So after doing the assessment, the industry would be able to know where particularly what is the watershed within which the industry is extracting water for their operational uses daily. So this will give them an idea on where they need to plan and focus their interventions so that they will get the benefit of achieving water positivity, which will in turn help and incorporate them in the ESG and sustainability goals of the organization, which will help them in the regulatory process. So this red line represents the watershed boundary. So here the orange dot is the industry and the red line represents where the industry is located. So all the interventions that and the sources for the industry needs to be present within the red boundary, which we will be mapping them in the scope 1 process. So not only defining the boundary, we also characterize the watershed. So what is the status of the watershed in which the industry is present? What is the slope and elevation? What is the soil type? What is the land use, land cover? What is the rainfall? So based on that, the industry will have an idea and they can plan much better on how they need to plan the interventions so that water availability for the watershed is enhanced. We do all this using WattScan, digital tool which is developed by CII Water Institute and also field visits. Then we map the sources of water. So as you can see here in the enhanced image, the brown boundary represents the plant or the industry, and the green dot represents the sources which the industry is using. This will give an idea on where the sources is located. Is it located within the watershed? It can also be a point that we don't have an own source. We are dependent on a third-party vendor. Suppose we get municipal supply, or we get water from a tanker which extracts the water from a different place. So, though location of those third-party vendors, where it is located, whether it is located in the same watershed or it is not located in the same watershed. Since the water neutrality principle talks about the interventions in the same watershed. The water that is being extracted in one watershed needs to be given back in the same watershed, not in a different watershed. Then only water will be available in future and it will be sustainable for all of us in the future. Not only the sources, the interventions which are done, which are already been undertaken through CSR, the water-related interventions are already undertaken by the industries. Where do they fall? Do they fall within the watershed or are they outside the watershed? If they fall within the watershed, it is well and good. They will be used for the elements of water neutrality assessment. But if they fall outside, then the industry will have an idea and they will be able to better plan their interventions to fall within the watershed so that they get the benefit for water neutrality. Then the scope 1 output is the quantity, quality and assessment unit identification. So in this we have current and future. So present is what is the present status. In future is based on the assessment we will be able to give improvements for water use efficiency. So if those recommendations are implemented, what will be the future offset? What will be the future amount that they need to offset through the interventions? Then you will be able to know what is the status of your sources and interventions, whether the sources have been mapped, whether the monitoring mechanism is in place to ensure the sustainability of the sources, and whether documentation is present and whether measuring of the sources and interventions is being done. This will help the industry to know an idea of scientifically on what is the status of their sources and interventions. Then what is the gap? How to address the gap so that they can become water positive or so that they can become water neutral and they can achieve water positivity, which we are able to claim scientifically. Then in scope 2 certification comes the virtual water part. So scope 1 talks about the current water usage. In scope 2, it comes the supply chain. So we will identify the supply chain that is required for the daily operations and identify the water critical supply chain based on all the supply chain. And then how much is the embedded water that is in use. So finally, at the end of scope 2, the industry would be able to know what is the total offset, what is the total amount of quantity of water, direct and virtual, which they need to give back to the ecosystem through interventions as offsets, and also the quantification of the interventions that they have done. Suppose we have built a recharge structure, how much of water is being recharged annually, or if the lake rejuvenation is being done, how much of water availability has been enhanced because of the pond rejuvenation. So these both will be balanced. The total extraction and the total interventions would be balanced, and the industry will get to know their status, whether they are in the negative or whether they are neutral or whether they are positive. And also at the end of scope 1 and scope 2, gaps which are identified and known to the industry, we will help them recommendations, what all interventions they can do in which place so that they can balance the offsets and which will help them achieve water positivity. So all these finally leads to the final scope 3 achieved certification, in which all the interventions and recommendations and the usage, water use efficiency improvement measures, all those which are done are validated, verified, and source diversification has been established. There is a monitoring mechanism in place to ensure water sustainability. These give the scope 3 status. So to sum up briefly, water is risk and water security is needed for industries, and water is a prime factor for business continuity. So to mitigate the risk, we can undertake the water neutrality certification on scope 1, scope 2 and scope 3, which helps the industry finally to know whether they are water positive, and if they are water positive, it will add to the brand image of sustainability and on their sustainability targets and ESG goals, in which water is also becoming a crucial key factor in the further stages. And operational efficiency and watershed sustainability also makes water available not only in the present, also in the future, because in general, we always focus more on improving water use efficiency within the plant, which is also very needed and an essential factor. But in water neutrality, the beyond the fence component is what was stressed and innovated, as in that the water which is being extracted or used in one particular area, that watershed needs to be sustainable so that water is available in the future also, which reduces the risk and reduces the compliance and the conflict with other users users so that industries are able to sustain in that, in that area, in that watershed, and also it adds to the water stewardship and responsible usage for industries. So healthy businesses thrive in healthy watersheds. The water neutrality makes industries future ready. This helps them to know their status. Also, the certificate, the assessment process is a 3-stage journey, and water neutrality can be achieved easily. The CII Water Institute handholds industries by helping them identify gaps and also helping them recommendations on how to address the gaps so that they can become water positive and water neutral. So any questions or any doubts you have, I can address it right now, or we can contact it later. So this, for details you can reach out to us. Any doubts or any questions?
Thank you, Bharath. So Bharath is available during the networking lunch break. Anybody who would like to contact him, contact CII through any water institute in terms of the presentation that he did. Please feel free to reach out to us so that we can direct you to him or directly to Mr. Bharath, who will be available here for you. Thank you so much. Please break for lunch. Requesting you to please gather back at in half an hour, 2:10. We are already a session delayed. Requesting the participants to please gather again after lunch at 2:10. Thank you.